actually, yeah, we're all from Lancaster. Two of us live in Palmdale, which is like a neighboring city.
Yeah.
Okay. Everyone knows for slick shoes and Afro Man. It's kind of funny. Yeah, we've like me and Alex and Jimmy over here. We've known each other since high school, and we've all been in bands around the scene for a long time. And then our singer and I, he's from Lancaster as well. We were in a band together like 10 years ago. So we've all known each other for a bit, you know?
Okay.
Yeah. The local scene out here is a little interesting because it's we're a part of LA County.
Okay.
So in a way we're influenced from LA proper, and then we have our own thing going on here.
Yeah.
And so our own thing going on over here is kind of I wouldn't really compare it as so far as to say like maybe it's exactly like the AV scene. The AV being the Antelope Valley. The Antelope Valley's Lancaster, Palmdale, that whole sort of thing. And
okay.
So where I'm going with that is for many, many years, like Cole was saying, him and our singer, they were in a band called Life for Life a long time ago. Me and Jimmy, we started out playing in the marching band. So in the AV scene and the Antelope Valley scene, which is Lancaster, Palmdale, etc. We've definitely known each other for like years, like maybe close to like maybe 11, 12 years.
Oh, I've definitely known you for 12 years.
Yeah. So even if we weren't always in a band with each other, we were always seeing each other at shows, you know. Yeah. And honestly, we all went to high school together too. So I met Cole in high school, you know. So
yeah, it's funny. I just like moved into a new place with my girlfriend, and I came across my high school yearbook, and they're like, I just texted them like pictures of all three of us, and we're all like mad young and different, you know.
Yeah. Are you guys so you guys talking about the LA scene is kind of like the major influence in you guys' music? So because you know I've never been out to California, but I'm familiar with a lot of bands out there. It's such a eclectic scene as far as the music scene is out there is concerned. You've got metal bands, and you also got pretty acoustic bands, a lot of new gen type of music that's coming out there. But with you guys growing up at that point in your lives where you guys were starting to formulate the sound, what was the main style of music you guys were kind of leaning towards, or was you guys had decided at that point that we like to try punk music, and then later on figured out, well, we can just try this instead as we progress as a band throughout the years? So what was your guys' standpoint on that?
Yeah, so I mean, properly, I definitely speak for myself, but I think I definitely speak for everyone in the band when I say that like punk is definitely the first genre that everyone has fallen in love with, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
So I guess in many ways you could say for us, we're almost like, this is not only something we love, but it's something that we have listened to enough, have experimented enough with, gone through different phases of, to just really hit it as hard as we can, you know?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure. So like writing sessions nowadays are, I would say they flow pretty well. Like it's almost like we could probably all write a song in 10 to 15 minutes, honestly.
But is the writing process for you guys, is that kind of like a collaborative effort, or is it just one lead writer for the group?
Always different.
Yeah.
Always
okay.
Different. Yeah.
It's usually somebody will come with a riff, like either him or Cole, and we'll just write around it.
Okay. So explain to me, you guys, about the so the initial process, at least with Shiiva, when you guys have started forming the group together and you guys had an idea what you guys want to do with the sound, but when you guys were saying, when you guys were writing the music, was there anything along the way that you guys felt had changed after the years of writing music with various different bands and your musical backgrounds, that you started to notice that, apart from the punk style of music we love, I kind of want to go this direction too? And when you guys present that to all the other members, or I'm asking every one of you guys, if you had an idea about a style of music you guys want to approach, and were you guys confident with each other about sharing that, hey, I want to go more this route if we get an opportunity to do, because I have an idea for a song that I want to write, hence where maybe the idea of the acoustic version for Nights would come to fruition from that? Or was it something that just kind of came organically as you guys were starting going through that whole writing process for the music?
Yeah, you want to take that one, Cole?
Yeah, definitely try to stay open to each other's ideas, because in previous bands, it's not like, sometimes it's just not the vibe, and like sometimes you wanted to go out of the box and do like something really weird or something that like sounds odd, but I don't know, we tried Shiiva to like, all right, let's hear it out, let's try and see, like if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, but we'll try it out.
Yeah.
Because we've been shut down so many times in other bands, like, and it's
Really?
like, you know, it's kind of frustrating, you know.
Well, I mean, because I joined Shiiva late, like after
Before the
He joined
acoustic-
Shiiva
Yeah.
last summer.
yeah, last summer. There you go.
Oh, it's about a year. Okay.
Yeah.
But I've been in a band with Alex literally since 2010. Like basically the more serious band I've ever been in was with him. It's a ska band called Captain Smooth Talk, and I feel like the mindset that I've always carried into every project I've ever done with that and after that. Well, not even after because we're still going, but you know, like with all of that, I've always like me and Alex have always been super open genre wise. Like our whole like mission statement with our other band was like we don't even like we have a core genre of course, but you know, don't be afraid to mix it with whatever we want, you know.
Right.
So we've always tried to be super open and not get really hung up on genres because in my experience I feel like I've watched a lot of people get held back by that, you know. Like don't be afraid, like you can be a punk band but don't be afraid to do what you want with it, you know. Like don't be afraid of like judgment or what, you know what I mean. Like
Yeah.
it's always good to be really open musically. So
Yeah. We'll like even text each other like neo soul songs or like old funk songs. Like,
Yeah, I was
what if
gonna
we did
say.
something like this, dude.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because like, you know, like another thing too, just on like a more, you know, just hanging out perspective, like
mhm.
you know, in the, you know, whenever we roll to shows like in our SUV and all that, you know, we'll listen to everything from like Toots and the Maytals, we listen to Lil Peep, we listen to Sade, like we listen to it all.
Okay.
You know? So
Okay.
we're definitely not, we definitely don't just wake up and just like, oh man, I need to listen to the fastest circle pit beat right now before I get my day started, you know?
Yeah.
Although at one point I was definitely like that. You know?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Although at one point I was definitely like that.
We got our days.
But yeah, I mean, you know, like there's definitely like me and Jimmy work together, and he'll tell you all I play is like the same 3 punk bands, and I do it for reference nowadays. Like when I listen to punk bands, I definitely listen to get inspired versus to be, how do I say this? Versus to be like more, it's definitely more of like a perspective of just getting inspired. Like, okay, this is how that band did it. Let me amp up, and you know, when the next practice, I'm just gonna try and work as hard because.
This is how Anti-Flag did it. This is how Rise Against did it. This is how AFI did it.
So what are the 3 bands for you then that you look as a point of reference to kind of use as a template to kind of figure out what you want to do? Oh, there's those 3. Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, I work with them like every day, so it's like it's always AFI, Anti-Flag, and Rise Against.
Yeah.
So let me ask you guys something real quickly about this, because you know, here's the thing about changing style of like music that a band is known for. Like for example, like for me. When I was growing up, I remember when I first heard of Incubus, like the very first time they were coming out. I think at that point they released Fungus Among Us, and then they released through I forgot the name of the record coming off the head, Reprise record might have been, but anyways, they released Science, and I was blown away with that record. But then you could tell as this next set of albums that came out, they definitely started changing their style where it became pretty. They figured out pretty early on that they didn't want to stick with metal, and they became more or less kind of like I guess for lack of a better term, like a soft rock band. I'm not saying that's the case with you guys here, but when you watch, I'm sure if you listen to our music, that you've seen the progressions they've made. For me personally, they kind of hit a point where I wasn't feeling, not because I thought they sucked, that wasn't the case, but it definitely had changed my perception of how I looked at the band, and I think it's for the better, but just didn't really appeal to me as much as it used to. But for you guys, though, when you guys are listening to other styles of music, and then because here's the thing, when I'm listening to Nice, I honestly believe that was the song that I could be wrong, but I'm kind of just assuming here that this is what you guys really want to do. I'm not saying playing that style of music, but rather like really doing something that you guys want to expand out of that box, if that makes any sense. So I'm trying to see if that's kind of like the when you look at bands like Green Day, for example, they started off as a straight up hardcore punk band back in the early days. Yeah. Now they're more or less kind of like very more melodic these days. But you can see that they've been able to sustain themselves because they played music that obviously appeals to the masses. But from your perspective, I kind of get a feeling you guys are picking up on that pretty early on. But obviously, the years of playing together, but that was a song. I'm like, these guys are going to do something completely different from what I'm hearing in that EP. So I'm actually really excited to see what you guys are going to be doing for your first official full-length record. through what was I going to say, Wiretap Records, to see what you guys are going to be doing there, because if anything, that song really kind of like piqued my interest about, as I said before, how you guys are going to really change the direction of the band, if that makes any sense here. So, I mean, if you guys want to comment about perspective on that.
No, thank you. That was really insightful.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, we're doing an EP with Wiretap, but
Okay.
I mean, we always wanted to do a full length, so that'd be sick.
Oh yeah.
But
definitely writing for it.
As far as like getting like more melodic music going, I feel like we've been like pushing both envelopes. Like as of right now, it's been kind of a vibe. Like we've been like writing more harder songs and like pushing like the harder, faster stuff, but also the more hooky, melodic, bouncy stuff. We've been trying to make more like our hooks better and like more poppy, you know. So I feel like we're just trying to push both sides of the spectrum and like do what we want, you know. Like 80s New York hardcore and like 90s like punk are like definitely huge influences on us. And it's along with that a lot of other stuff. I can't speak for everyone, you know, but it's very cool to be able to write something different but feel like it's keeping like along the lines of the DIY music that we came up doing, you know.
Gotcha.
Yeah, like another thing too is I generally feel like in this band we like performing is something we take super serious, you know, and so combining that with, you know, we do consider ourselves like a hardcore punk band. So at shows, you know, we try to be as on point, as musically like good as we can, you know. And so just like in general, like when like earlier you were asking about when we were first putting the band together. I got invited to jam by Cole. Shiiva started as a project initially through our lead singer Jabril and Cole. So when we were jamming, he showed me these songs, you know, like exactly how you picked up about Nights and everything. I'm noticing, I'm like, okay, so this is a band rooted in hardcore that's not afraid to bounce around in styles, you know?
Right.
So like, you know, as far as like the perspective you were sharing about doing something completely different, like I love when bands do shit like that, you know, like you know, hardcore punk band is gonna drop an acoustic song, like that's awesome. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, like it's kind of like how Jimmy was saying, like we just don't really close ourselves off in terms of like genre. Like we you know, if we're gonna write a hardcore song, we're gonna make sure, you know, we go 10 toes down with it, as well as if we do like a pop punk song like Nights. You know what I'm saying?
It's not like necessarily reinventing the wheel, just like being really good at driving the car or something.
And not being afraid to slam that shit, you know?
Just doing what we do really good, like trying to be really good at what we do.
Well, you know, I actually wanted to give you guys props on that, because I came across because you guys have a YouTube channel that I checked out here as well, and you've got a few performances, two of which that one was from last year, the very first show you guys had done. I'm trying to remember where it was that you guys had played at. I'm not sure if you guys can comment on that, but
that was in our hometown, like in a biker club.
Okay. And then the other one was in a festival like 6 hours from where you guys live, if I recall correctly, just outside of San Francisco, if I remember. It was Twin Peaks or something like that.
Twin Streaks Fest.
Yeah, that's the one, right? So here's what I wanted to say about those two performances here, and this is one of the reasons why I wanted to talk to you guys as well too, because it's one thing to be good musicians and you sound great on record, and obviously it's another thing to perform well on the camera. But it's another thing, and this is where I want to get you guys' perspective on this here, because I'm very curious to ask every band that I've come across here about how they go about. But and to some degree, I think Alex, you've answered my question here. But the thing is that when I saw you guys' performances on both of those videos that I came across, it's quite obvious that you guys, as you mentioned before, give it 100%, and that's the first thing that I noticed here. The second thing is that you know, the first show that I think the first video that I saw was that first show you guys did last year. It was a pretty good sized crowd. Then the second show, on the other hand, it was obviously a little less. But the reason I'm bringing this up is because I think a lot of people get the misconception that you know, when you're playing, if you're in a band, you know, I'm sure it comes from the experience when you guys, you know, knowing how you guys can handle yourself on stage and feeding off each other's energy. But it's really important to, in my opinion, that even doesn't matter the size of the crowd, it matters how well you guys perform, so that the three people that may be there will, if they see your name at another show, that they'll remember those guys were great. Didn't matter how many people were there, they were fucking awesome. You should check these guys out. That's always the first impression that I get off, and that's exactly what I felt of it. And I'm being serious when I say that. But so I'm curious to hear about your guys' perspective on performing live, because I think some people who don't understand the amount of work that's involved to get yourself on stage performing, despite what the hurdles that may come with that. And one of the biggest things is the mental block that they may have, because there's only 3 people that they were anticipating something bigger, and that's not the case.
Yeah.
But with you guys, it's really obvious you guys, I'm not saying you just don't care, but you care about the quality, you care about the performance to give something for people to remember here, because I certainly did. So if you guys can kind of give some insight about what it was that really developed that thought process, not only develop that confidence, but to be able to find a method to be able to find what works for you as a group and then off of that energy. So I hope that question wasn't too long, but there's a reason why I got to that point.
Yeah, I mean, well, I think we've all, like I said, we've been in bands since really young, and so like,
sure.
I'll just draw an analogy. Like, I don't think, because my original instrument is guitar, right? I don't think I can really shred like a lot of the guys I see at Guitar Center, but I've been playing in groups for a long time to know that I can play in bands better than those guys. You know what I'm saying? And I would say, like, you know, Cole's been in a band since he was in his early teens as well. So has Jimmy. So I feel like the live aspect is definitely something that it's almost just like that's like the icing on top of the cake for us.
Right.
You know, it's like this is like what we do. Like, people that maybe come to our shows and already know us, they listen to us because of the music. You know, we have to be memorable in some sense. You know.
Yeah. And even like, man, I've like personally, as a show goer myself, from like an outside perspective, I've gone to shows where like, and like people, like there's like 5 people there in the crowd. The band just doesn't care, and like they're acting like they don't care, and everyone doesn't care at that point. The venue just dead. Like, who wants that? I've seen also on the flip side, a band play to 5 people and just kill it. And I was like, still remember that to this day.
Yeah.
You know, so I always want to like leave a good impression on someone.
Oh yeah, like because even, you know, I used to play drums for church growing up, you know, so it's like I've been playing in front of people since I was like 12 years old, you know, and I met him like literally we were like 15, 16 years old, you know, wanting to start a ska punk band, and you know, even before, you know, it's like the more you do it, you know, the better you get at it. And I feel like you have to treat every show like it's like, you know, every show should be played like you're playing to thousands of people, because if you're not, and if you're just getting hung up on the crowd and like you're getting hung up on the wrong things.
Yeah.
And I honestly personally think that if that's what you're, you know, because it can break up a lot of bands, but if that's what you're so hung up on as a group, then maybe you're not in it for the music. You know what I mean? Because I will always play every set, regardless if it's to 5 people or what, like I'm playing to thousands of people, because honestly, I have a respect for the music. I have a respect for my bandmates' time, and I have a respect for my instrument. You know what I mean? So it's like if I'm gonna do it, I gotta do it right. You know what I mean? Personally, for sure.
Yeah, another thing I was gonna say too, kind of a random point, but it definitely relates. Like he was saying, like when we met in marching band, and in marching band, what I did was, I don't know if you've ever seen like high school marching bands. They had like the pit, like the fools with like the marimbas up front that wouldn't march.
Oh yeah, I've seen it. Yeah.
So I played electric bass in marching band, but they gave me the tubas music, and it would help the tuba stay in tune because the bass is like a pre-tuned instrument, you know.
Right.
Yeah, in those classes, man, all those rehearsals, like all those after-school rehearsals, like daily, like Monday through Friday. A lot of that really helped as far as like knowing dynamic and playing with a group, not overdoing it. You know, I still overdo it. Not overdoing it. Fucking, you know, like just like patience and sitting in rehearsal time, like sitting there with like loud ass instruments going off all the time. All of that, I feel like honestly really helped beat into my head like the performance aspect of shit, like really early on. So like, to go back to your point about performing live, because I have that so like rehearsed in my mind somehow, you know, I think of bands that I like. So like one band I really love watching live, especially all their old footage, is At the Drive-In.
They're good live.
Like those fools are like they go bonkers in those clips when you go watch it. So it's like I'll never be like them, but you should at least try to like at least match that energy, because that stage presence is insane, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so let me ask you guys this here. So, you know, considering with, you know, you guys that work ethic you guys had behind performing there, do you guys still get nervous before you go on stage, or is it something that you've kind of desensitized to when you guys are about to go on stage performing in front of the crowd? I mean, is there a thought process you guys have about what you must do to prepare for that, or is it just easy for you to guys to go from point A to point B?
Well, you know what? Before every show, even ever since I was a kid, I get like really giddy. So it's kind of the same butterflies in your stomach feeling,
Okay.
but I'm not nervous, but I'm like really just like, fuck yeah, dude.
Okay.
But ever since I was young, dude,
So
I
excited.
always, yeah, exactly. But right when I have to play, I always have to pee. It's like that always happens. That can be like some kind of nervousness, you know?
Yeah.
But to this day, man.
Nah, but you know what though? I don't like. It's funny. Like I used to get really nervous, but just recently, because I've been doing like extracurricular gigging as well, aside from like my personal bands. That you know what's funny is I listened to like I think it was like an interview from Patrick Stubb, the singer of Fall Out Boy, and he was talking about singing the national anthem and how unprepared he was, but he just went into it with, all right, we'll see how this goes, type thing. And so I'm not saying that I don't prepare. I always try to prepare, but sometimes, dude, with like how busy life gets, sometimes I don't find myself the time, you know what I'm saying, to really prepare, like to really just go over stuff. So when I do, I really try to hone in, and then when I approach the performance, I stop tripping less on like, all right, I need to watch the neck of the instrument, but I just focus more on like how the song should sound in that live moment. Yeah. I think that really helps. Like,
interesting.
Make me like so much less nervous for shows preset. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Not to harp on this subject, but dude, out here, like live music is such a big thing. Like there's so many bands that are good, and like our friends' bands will kill it, and it'll just be like, not in like a jealous competitive way, just like in a way that like, damn, I want to kill it just as hard as they're killing it. Like, you know, so like we're always trying to like motivate each other in that sense out here. It's kind of cool.
So explain to me guys now about the live scene out in California, at least where you guys are at right now, because I've actually talked to another Wiretap record band in Decent Criminal. I'm sure you guys may have heard of that group before. Ring any bells? Okay. So I talked to Hunter, and he said pretty much the exact same thing that you had said, Cole, which was that because it's funny because I asked him about like what are some people that have inspired him as far as performance wise or anything in general. He always keeps going back to, well, it's not, I'm trying to remember how he said it. So if I mess it up, forgive me, but he was like, not a lot of things impress me, but what does impress me are the local guys, because those are the guys that are they're putting everything into it. And when I look at what they do, I'm like, holy fuck, I got to step up my A game right now. That's kind of the impression that I'm getting off with what you just said there, Cole. But I mean, I'm curious about, the live scene out there, because I kind of got the impression from what Hunter was telling me before that there's a lot going on, but considering what COVID had happened, when COVID happened, things have kind of died down a little bit. Things are starting to slowly get back into place here. And I believe, if I recall correctly, that I think California just kind of lifted that whole mask ban or some of that, so if I remember hearing correctly. So are things starting to get more back into place a little more smoothly, or are you guys still kind of getting a little bit more jumping a little bit more hurdles to kind of get back into the swing of things as far as the live shows are concerned?
A lot of shit never stopped out here in the Antelope Valley, man.
Okay.
Like it was really like,
we weren't playing shows, but we always heard shows happening like in 2020, and we never like went to them or nothing, but we were like, I don't know.
Yeah, there was for sure. Yeah, and so I feel like once like the vaccines and stuff came out, I feel like that's when more of like the main places started opening back up, like ever since like last year is when Transplants, this bar out here, started having shows again.
Yeah, we got a new venue like as like shows were coming back last summer, and this has been going off.
Yeah,
it's actually been, we're very thankful for that, for real.
Yeah, I was gonna say too, like as far as like the pandemic point, like for a second, once the pandemic went off, there was like no shows for like maybe like a month.
Yeah,
and shows came back right away. Like there was just honestly like promoters that wanted to do it anyway, and people wanted to go to shows. So people
like underground shows. Is that what you're kind of referring to? Okay.
Yeah, because venues were done, and so we knew that probably wouldn't look very like like slidable if we tried to play shows during that. So we just held off. Like
well,
we just
a lot of us
we,
did. We kind of just like that's when a lot of us started writing.
yeah, and a lot of us were also kind of, you know, like honestly at that time, you know, like my father once had pneumonia, you know. So if my
mom had cancer.
Yeah, so like in my mind, I'm like, shit. If I go out to a show, let's say I just don't care, and I just went out to a show when all that was popping off, and there was crazy cases, you know.
Oh yeah.
And I came back and I gave it to like my dad or something. You feel me? I feel bad.
Yeah.
That's just the way I felt at the time. So I just honestly did not go out for like a solid year. Not like, you know what I'm saying.
Right. I know you're going to. Yeah, I know what you mean by that.
Yeah.
It was crazy because like literally like in March is when we like recorded our like record, like started March, the GROOV EP, and then the lockdown happened, so we just kind of held off on like even releasing it because we were like, we can't play live, like we don't know how we could even.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah,
dude. Because like I know this is probably drifting off, but like even when we shot the Happy video, that was like during like for sure we were like, okay. There was one lift in Cali for 2 weeks, and then they closed again.
Oh yeah.
That's what it was in the summer. So once we lifted, we're like, all right, cool. So we can be out and about. You know, we have to be responsible, and we gotta like do it like quickly because like we're out in like broad daylight. You know what I'm saying? It's hot as hell. And then like 7 p.m. rolls around, and apparently there's like a curfew that gets called.
Oh yeah, that's just ridiculous.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember hearing about that.
Yeah.
Well, so okay, so let's go back to that recording the EP for GROOV, because I'm curious about, because you mentioned before, Cole, that you guys had recorded that back in March. So was it March of last year, or was it 2019?
2020.
2020. Okay. Were you guys recording it separately? You guys would record your bits and then you would send it off to somebody else, and then they would record alongside with the tracks. Like how was that for you guys?
It was actually like right before the lockdown, so we like finished tracking it, and then like after that we like arranged the mixing and mastering and stuff. But we were like demoing it because I like learned how to record for like 6 months before that, just like demoing the whole record over and over until we were kind of happy with it, and then we took it to our homie that records. But yeah, the lockdown happened like right around then, and then, yeah, we just like
we were happy to get it done in time, honestly, because
it was kind of like weird.
We were rehearsing it like hell. We were rehearsing it like hell, and then we booked the time with our homie Vince, and we recorded, and it was such a smooth process because we demoed so much, you know.
Got it.
So it was honestly a really fun time, and it was just great to knock it out of the park. It was very well rehearsed, you know what I'm saying? And
right.
And we were hitting it hard, and then once we got in there, I didn't actually get to go in and do vocals, but Cole did vocals along with Jabril, along with Carlos, and I think I know you do vocals.
Oh yeah,
Vince did vocals. I'm pretty sure like there's like background vocals.
Yeah, we did gang vocals.
Yeah, and so it just sounded really fun. Like when I got to listen to it back and shit, I was like, damn, because it sounded like there's like, you know, it's like it was popping off hard as hell in the studio, and then even Jabril with a lot of like the vocal kind of like things that he does in the songs,
like
and
the
like
ad-libs and stuff.
Yeah, like the ad libs and all that stuff. All that shit sounded super sick once I got to listen to it, because I just went in there for one day and did the bass parts. And
it was cool too, because like some of the stuff that we demoed, like our engineer was like, well, I actually just like it how it is right now. Let's just use that stem, and like he used some of our demo stems and like threw it into like the final mix and master.
Yeah, no, it was a cool time. It was a cool time. It was funny because that's when I was also getting to being reacquainted with like playing bass. And so in those recording sessions, I just remember really feeling like, all right, I got to really like lock in. And it was sick to be able to do that shit and like listen to it back on Pro Tools and like really like think, all right, do I like this part? Do I not like this part? Yeah.
Well, so explain to me, for you guys, what was that? Because when you guys are recording this EP here, I mean, I'm pretty sure you guys felt confident about with what you guys are doing. Obviously, tweaking some things along the way, for you, in whoever wants to start off with this here, what was that turning point when you realized, okay, this is actually really good with what we got so far? Like, I love what we're coming out here with. What was that turning point for you, either you guys, when you guys were putting that the EP together?
Dude, most of the demos we did at our singer Jabril's house. Like, I'd bring my recording equipment and we just do it in his living room and chill there till like 3 a.m. just like over demos. I think like when we did the Stomp demo and the Happy demo, and they had like both had like production on it, like keys and like solos and stuff. We were like, dude, what are we like? This is like we never done stuff like that before. Just being in bands, like adding like different things, like different layers.
Right.
Yeah, dude. Like it was funny, like because like I said, I got to shout out Cole and Jabril here because I came in and I learned the songs on GROOV. You know what I'm saying? And that shit was fire. So I was just like, dude, I'm definitely trying to do this shit. So once we got to recording and it was all like live band sounding, you know, I was just like, oh hell yeah! Like we just knew it was gonna hit because we had a plan for like how the songs were gonna get like lined up.
Right.
We knew we were gonna like it. We hope people liked it. You know what I'm saying? But we knew we were gonna like it.
I love that. I think it's a good record you guys have released there. So that's why I'm looking forward to see what you guys are going to be doing next with, because you mentioned now it's going to be an EP that you guys will be working on here because this is all obviously self-produced here. So when it came to putting everything together there, I mean, did you guys have like a direction about what it is you guys want to do in terms of like the transition from one thing to the next, or was it just kind of like you guys put everything together, then you figured out, all right, well, maybe we should put this track here first and then this one second, third? Like, how was that process for you guys in putting everything to come out the way it did?
Dude, with the EP, I think it was pretty meticulous. It was cool. We were like, all right, this song could be this. Like originally, we even like had a different name for the record. Then when we arranged it a different way, we were like, all right, now this is what the record should be called. And I feel like we kind of did that with this new EP. And it's weird because like COVID kind of benefited us in the way where we had a bunch of songs. Like the EP that we're about to drop, like we recorded it last summer, and like now we got like a bunch of new songs that we've been like demoing right now. And so it's kind of it's weird that like we've been like had this in our pocket for so long, but it's cool in the sense that like we just recorded a music video, so it kind of like freshened it back up for us, you know.
Yeah, because okay, we were after GROOV dropped, I think we shot a live session with our friends in Hub and Media, and then our plan after that was to do the Night After Night thing, and then we were going to do this thing called well, should I drop that the two song, like what the name was and what the plan was, or not?
Oh no, it's all good, bro.
No,
I don't know if we should say.
I feel you. Well, basically we had like a sort of plan, you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Like we had like a sort of plan. And so from that sort of plan, we started writing stuff, and we found that, okay, we got like a lot more on our hands, you know what I'm saying? So we definitely like went in and recorded it. Yeah. Like early summer, like late spring. And yeah, dude, we've been selling it for a minute. But it's sick though. We're happy it's finally going to come out.
We're like planning on self-releasing it, and then we just started talking to Rob, like through the social media fucking world, and he was very cool.
You telling Rob from, was it Wiretap?
Yeah.
So he reached out to you guys through social media?
I followed him, and he was like tweeting about like wanting to check out new bands. So I sent him our EP, and he just like back like a few days later. We got into contact. He was just like very nice and supportive to us, and yeah, we just started talking for a bit and told him we had this new EP that we were like about to drop. And then we just started talking about releasing it with him, you know?
Yeah, he's sick, man. He's definitely a real rocker. Our initial like conversation meeting was really cool, man. We're really happy that we went with Wiretap. They're sick, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Especially all the bands that they're signing now, like all the bands.
Yeah.
Popping, like I'm discovering a lot of sick ass bands that I've been listening to for the past week, and it's like none of that is like what the popular stuff is like on like listed on Spotify. It's all just stuff I've been like finding out about on social media through Wiretap and other like, you know, pages I follow and stuff like that.
So is this new EP that you guys are planning to release soon? Is it going to be released through a form of vinyl, CD, tape? What's the plan for that? Are you guys able to talk about that?
You'll have to see.
Okay.
You'll have to see, my friend.
Okay.
Yeah, dude, we're definitely gonna do some sort of physicals for sure. Vinyl would be the dream, but for sure there's gonna be CDs, tapes.
Okay.
Right away.
Interesting. I'd be curious by you guys' tape on that one. Okay, well, so let's move over to something real quicker, because I'm actually curious to hear your, because since I got a good idea what you guys are, you know, where everything is starting from here. I'm actually curious to hear something about other areas of interest here, because you know, you guys talked about the various different music you guys have when it comes to your, you know, what you've grown up with here and what you listen to kind of infiltrate with what you guys are doing right now. anything else outside of, you know, the music that you listen to that you guys would consider as a sort of an influence that helped formulate the style of music you guys are making? Like, for example, like films. If you guys watch a movie that you realize, love that scene, I love what it brought, what that made me feel, and I want to replicate that feeling into a song. Anything of that sort that comes to mind when it comes to that?
Yeah, Lloyd Banks. I've been listening. Honestly, though, yeah, like I just listened to his album for like a straight week, The Hunger for More, and that's a really good album.
Okay.
And so, you know, like from like a production standpoint, I'm just like, yo, all these songs hit because they all have like really hard drums, really hard bass licks. So like when I try to play bass, like honestly, like I was saying earlier, when I try to get like reacquainted, it's like more like a guitar approach. But I'm trying to like, you know what I'm saying? Like listen to stuff outside of the genres to get influence for like how to like really like come up with a cool groove, you know, versus like just overdoing it with a lot of notes, you know.
Gotcha. Okay.
Even though I can still overdo it. You know?
Man, I wish our singer was here. That full Jabril.
That would've been the
Such a
perfect question
movie
for
head.
Jabril, dude.
That's like he always says stuff like that when we're like creating new things. He's always like, man, this is like a movie right now. Like he'll like specifically reference movies. It's kind of funny that you said that.
Yeah. I mean, like in terms of movies, like it's like for stuff like that, like, you know, I just, you know, for me, it's like the classics, you know, like Lord of the Dogtown and shit like that, you know?
Oh yeah, like
I saw that movie in theaters when it came out.
SLC Punk and like
SLC Punk and stuff like that. But that's also like, you know, like all those movies kind of have like an homage for the stuff that we already like, you know?
Yeah. But dude, for me, like I don't know, man. Like those bands that like almost like transcended like the punk culture or like whatever culture they're involved in. You know, it could be like Yeet in the present day or like Turnstile right now, kind of like. I don't care or know exactly what we're gonna do, but I hope we could like impact like people in a certain way where they think about the music differently. You know.
So, I'm curious about with what you just said there, because I'm wondering if some of that influence, because you mentioned Jabril is kind of more of the movie guy to an extent with what he's kind of referencing here. But when it came to the shooting of the videos you guys were had done for the EP, who's in charge of that? Who's coming up with the ideas about the direction of the video, the visuals, whatever the case may be? Like who has the who's looking into to getting that to come out the way that they have envisioned it? Who's responsible for that?
I was definitely Jabril.
Okay.
So this past music video,
past video, I'd say Jabril definitely was.
We all had input though, for sure.
He was definitely running the shoot for show. Shit was sick as hell, man. I showed up and I showed up like a little late, and they had already started like filming the first shots, and it was cool, man. I was like sick, you know. Jumped right in and yeah, dude, we handled it, you know. It was great. Cole also did a lot of work in terms of like the administrative perspective that you're talking about too. So shout out Cole and Jabril.
It was cool, man. We like kind of shout out our local scene, man. We like asked, like posted on social media, like if anyone would come out to help us like be extras in the video and stuff. And
yeah, I saw that recently. Yeah.
And it looks cool. Well, I think we're supposed to be getting like some rough drafts of it like this week, so I'm very excited to see it.
Yeah, dude, shout out all the homies that came through, man. Like you said, the local scene is great here, man.
Oh yeah.
The local scene is definitely one that sticks together out here for sure. I didn't really make the point earlier when you had asked about the local scene. I think we drifted off into like shows during COVID.
Yeah.
But the local scene, shout out to them 100%. All the bands here are super sick, and everyone is super like together, you know, because Lancaster and area are like smaller areas. It's not weird for like an indie band to play shows for like a hardcore punk band. It's actually pretty regular, you know.
So it's pretty progressive in that sense, where you have variations of like genres that play in one single show.
Oh yeah,
like ska band play show with thrash band, and it's not weird. It's like that's how it is.
So it's common. So it's normal out there.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, I love
awesome.
that.
So shout out to the locals
for sure. A lot of kids will come and turn up for these bands. It's to their credit, all these bands are writing 6 songs, you know. It's just very cool. I feel like the AB is very underlooked because we are LA County, but we're like very northern tip of it, you know, so we're kind of far from LA in that sense.
Yeah, we're actually super far from LA proper.
We're like an hour out from LA.
Yeah, we don't actually live near LA. The LA County has to be some government involved piece.
Yeah, we may as well be Kern County.
We might as well be in the same county as Bakersfield, basically.
Yeah.
Interesting.
we're that.
So I didn't
far.
realize that LA County was that big of a county out there.
LA
So
County Bridge.
interesting. I had no idea.
Yeah.
So explain to me about the video, not necessarily about what you guys just shot, but for you in general, for each of you guys, when because performing, recording, that's one thing, but to play the songs and recording a video for that, is there a difference for you guys about how you guys approach that? Because I'm not sure if you guys are playing it live, if there's a playback, you play with a click to kind of be able to sync along with what you guys are wanting to play for the camera. Maybe how does that work for you guys? And if it's different, how are you guys adjusting to it if you haven't been you haven't been accustomed to it yet?
Oh man, the only thing I can think of is the GROOV video when we did that, dude. The only thing I had to eat that day was Starbucks. For real. And so when we did that, bro, all I knew, like to kind of answer your question, all I knew was that I really wanted to just like spaz that on camera and do some just like appear ridiculous, And so, because that's the spirit of punk rock, And so when I did that, it was a bad like physical turnaround because all I had to eat for breakfast was basically nothing, But it was
air diet.
It was super fun. Yeah, it was super fun because basically, our drummer was playing the song and we were just miming along.
Yeah, we had a playback and we like dead in his cymbals, but like we had like our video dude Juan. He's like, shout out to him, man. He did our first 2 videos and he made them look great. He wanted to get the shots, so we did that like we played it back like 15 times. So and he did it from like different angles, like all of us different angles, So. It was like I felt like a workout by the end of it because the lights were hot and shit inside the spot.
Dude, I was so out of it, bro. By the time we got the final shots, like, because what he did was group shots, like how he said, from a whole lot of angles, and then he did individual shots of us, and he did like 5 times of those. Like
was that tedious for you guys? Like each to go through that, going from this angle, that angle, and then for individual shots, was that kind of like a tedious process?
It was amazing. First for me, it was very cool though.
It was sick.
I was definitely tired, but I was like, I guess this is like what like bands, like real bands I fuck with do.
It's kind of just the reality of like when actually just getting to the nitty gritty and making a music video, especially playing live. You gotta just keep doing things over and over and over and over.
There's a lot like I don't know. I think like coming up in DIY, we like rely on our live being our first impression, but nowadays there's like so many different ways people can discover your band. Definitely want to make a good impression on all fronts,
Do you guys get like a I mean, with the way things are changing now, because I'm not sure how you guys felt about when you guys first growing up discovering music, especially with the local scene, because you guys had mentioned before you guys have a pretty tight-knit community out there, but when you guys growing up started discovering music through coming across something on TV or on the radio, whatever the case may be, and now that the industry has changed a great deal, and for me, if I hadn't followed Wiretap Records, there was a ton of bands I would have never discovered for me to get acquainted with here. But the way things are changing now, in your perspective, do you guys feel like that in a lot of ways is for the better because of the accessibility behind people who probably would never come across, like someone from like myself, probably would never heard of you guys had I not checked out Wiretap's post? Or do you guys kind of have a preference on how you look at it and when you prefer to discover the music? I'm hoping it's kind of a fair question to ask, and it makes sense here, but
yeah, I mean, honestly, you know what? It's like I feel like there's no right way, so there's almost like any way you go, you just always have to make sure that number one, what it is that you have is like likable, so that when someone does take an interest in you, is like people are going to respond. So we're just grateful that people actually just like our stuff. I mean, because there's so many ways to get out there,
right?
Because like we know bands out here in Southern California that have insane local clout in areas that like it's hard to get local clout in. Like we know bands that have insane clout in areas like Los Angeles, everywhere, and can get like insane shows, always great lineups. It's never a problem for them. But they don't really have music out. They don't, they're not signed or nothing, but they have insane local clout and they have so many like social media followers. And then the reversal of that, we know bands that are like big on social media, but are not really traveling anywhere, stuff like that. So like, I feel like, from all perspectives, like how you said, like the way the industry changes, and then, you got to look at like also what like, more popular artists and how they move,
right.
Artists outside of punk.
I feel like we grew up like seeing the internet like on MySpace. I discovered so many bands back in the day.
Yeah.
So like I feel like we kind of got to see the precursor to how it is now, you know?
Yeah, hell yeah.
Because there's a lot of people that got hung up on like, oh, bro, it used to be like this or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
Like, and a lot of people hate the internet in many ways. But I feel like as an artist, you almost have to like, you can't love it, or you can love it, but it's like you shouldn't really like come in as like, I love it or I hate it. You just got to work with what you have, you know. Because all the artists and stuff that people look at, like, oh, but such and such band got discovered at this LA club, and I want to do it like that. It's like that's not gonna happen, you know. It's like
it's not like the whiskey and the
Yeah.
80s, bro.
Yeah, like
you just gotta roll with the punches if you want to, especially because it's such a like the endless joke of being in a band is like getting shit on by family members, like, oh, your little band, you're still doing that thing, you know. But it's like it's like you just have to want to do it, and you got to work with what you got, you know.
Yeah, because like for example the Wiretap thing, like we did that knowing that we really wanted to work with them because they're great, just like people just to have around, you know what I'm saying? It's like super into the music culture, so we weren't even really like approaching it sort of thing of like, all right, what kind of traction could we get? We just knew we just wanted to do business together and fucking rock with each other, you know.
Yeah,
right.
The bands they sign are sick. Like,
yeah.
Decent Criminal that you talked about, that was like one of the bands I was like, fuck, dude, I love Decent Criminal.
That's same here. Yeah.
And so to like circle it back around, like the opportunity that we have to like get to know bands from that label, is a big one, and so we could find ways to, in the future, however it is, work with each other, and how you're saying, always like look to new ways of how like the industry changes. You feel me? And just because, like Cole was saying, we grew up watching bands that like, at the peak of MTV. It's like, you saw what bands when all that died out, like you saw what bands adapted and what bands kind of like stayed where they were,
Yeah. And like even from a consumer standpoint, like all of us, like our families are like musical in some sense, so we were always discovering music in different ways. I feel like like you're in a family band, like your dad was a drummer, my dad was in a band, so like I don't know, I feel like we were in like musical households just naturally too.
Yeah, for sure.
So explain to me then for you guys about your intention here, and what I mean by that is this, because I think some people have kind of this I'm not talking about everyone in general, but some people get the misconception that if you're playing music and you sign onto a record label, then the intention is to make it big. So I'm curious from your guys' perspective and how you guys are viewing it for yourselves about how you guys are approaching here. Because I understand that if you guys can play at big venues, because you love it, and then if there's an opportunity that arises from that you play one venue, then do the next one, which will get bigger and bigger from there. I'm sure that's virtually every musician's dream, but knowing that the business is a very fickle business as well too, whether it be on a grand national stage, a worldwide stage, or even a local stage. What's your guys' intention on as far as how you guys are pursuing your musical careers? Are you guys looking to wanting to make it a career, or you guys are just taking a step-by-step process about feeling how things work out? And if it turns out that, great. If it doesn't, then we still will do what we love and live our full-time lives elsewhere as we do this on the side. Like, what's your guys' end game with that?
Yeah, I mean, I can't speak for everyone, but me personally, I mean, if that happened like that, that'd be great. But at the end of the day, I mean, like all of us are in multiple bands, so we're probably just gonna be playing music regardless,
Yeah.
Like it's been cool getting like people giving us attention for Shiiva and stuff. It's like
it's awesome.
A very fresh feeling, because we've been doing it for so long.
Yeah, my intention is to do what I love and build a brand around it, and I think Shiiva all shares that mindset.
Yeah.
As far as like sharing your music and always keeping it consistent, people will definitely love you if you always put out just good art.
Right.
And then making good art is also like a great process. So it's like to share it with people. That's like, for me, that's what makes me happy about the art, is when I get to share it with my sister, and she can text me back like what she thought of the song. Like, to me, that's fucking awesome.
Oh yeah.
That's my intention.
Nice. Well, what about for you, Jimmy? Do you have any particular mindset about how you want to go about this here for yourself?
I feel like I've been doing it. I mean, I've wanted to be in a band. Ever since I was a kid, that's really all I wanted to do. And, you know, I grew up watching my dad play drums for church, and, you know, I was then eventually started playing drums myself. And so ever since, like, you know, I started my first, you know, bullshit band in middle school. You know,
Tell the name, bro. Tell the name. Hey, tell the name or I'll tell the name.
It was called the Randoms. It was fucking,
With the Z, bro.
With the Z, dude.
With the Z.
That's a pretty badass name. So don't let anyone make it. I love it, man. So
the Randoms with the name.
You know, it was just like, so when I got into high school and like met this fool, and he pretty much opened up like ska and like punk to me and shit, and like, so I feel like it's just like my whole life has been like, okay, I want to play in a band. And then my dad's like, you're playing drums. So I start playing drums, like, okay, shit. Now, like, you know, it's as a drummer, it's you know, as a drummer, it's like being a girl and trying to find a boyfriend. Like it's you know, it's easy, man, you know? Just kidding.
I love that analogy.
It's like, you know, but for real, it's like, I feel like everything just kind of laid out that, okay, that's what I'm going to do. And
okay.
Like, you know, the reasons why I've seen as much of the United States as I have was because of sitting in on drums for a hardcore band and like going on tour and stuff, you know? So it's like a lot of the things that I wanted to do have come to me through music, you know? So it's like, I guess you know, of course there's, all of us have our own like backup plan, you know, because everyone's got that existential dread of like, oh shit, what am I going to do if this doesn't work out, you know?
Right.
But I feel like it's like, you know, so speaking personally, it's like I've got my backup plan, and then I'm like, but I'm going to ride this shit till the fucking wheels come off, you know what I mean? Like, because this is all I've ever wanted to do, you know? Everything else was kind of on the side. So it's like, if I can keep doing this, then I'll keep doing it for as long as I can, you know?
Yeah, dude. And to touch on that, man, I feel like this band's been a different beast in the sense of like, we kind of don't, like, if we feel like there's an opportunity presented to us, like, we're going to figure out how to take it, even if there's like a wall in our way. You know? So it's been cool.
Yeah, and also like my backup plan, and I've talked to the guys about it, I just want to tell you about it, is to basically move to Mexico and work in like hotels, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm like really good at both languages, you know? Like I can,
dude.
Like I'm pretty good at both. At both, I feel like when I travel down there, they can all tell that I'm not, you know, that I'm not native. So, but it'll be all right. You know what I'm saying?
Do you speak the language at least?
Oh hell yeah, yeah, no, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I mean, you know, growing up with Mexican parents, you know, you have to, bro. Like you have to.
Yeah.
You have to, like, you can't be, you know, in California, you know, you have to. So yeah, that's. But I'll just play. I was just being super sarcastic.
I picked up on it pretty early on. Well, so you know, there's something you guys had mentioned just now. Obviously, that reminded me of something that I came across, and with that performance you guys had done over at I think it was I keep forgetting the name, Twin Peaks, I think is what it was, that show you guys had done outside. So there was something that his name's pronounced Jabril, is that correct?
Yeah.
Jabril. Okay, thanks. So Jabril had said something that I was not familiar with at all, because again, I'm not from the area. I've never been out there. So it's nice to hear something that would educate me to learn more about, you know, you guys' respective area. What he had said, I'm sure you guys may know where I'm leading to this here, was that this actually has to do with song "Stomp," where he was talking about that there were Confederate flags out where you guys live at.
Oh, yeah.
Which kind of surprised me because you know, California is a pretty diverse area in terms of, you got Hispanics, you know, you've got African Americans, Chinese, Asians, all sorts of people from all walks of life, in pretty much making up a good part of that state there, pretty much nationwide, but California special I'm referring to here. But when he had shared that, I was actually surprised to hear that, because I live out here in North Carolina. I'm just outside of Charlotte. Confederate flags are everywhere here, so it's not uncommon for me to see it.
Yeah.
But you know, when I'm hearing about that in California, that actually surprised me. And then once I started watching the video for Stomp, it, you know, it made a lot more sense. And you know, you guys know how the video turned out, because you guys were a part of it. But if you guys can give me more insight about, you know, that not necessarily about, you know, what you see Confederate flags, but just the background of a different variety of people out there, because I understand there's racism out there, but I just didn't understand the extent of it as far as what it's common for me here that I didn't expect to hear about that in California. So
Yeah.
if you guys can share a little bit about that, because I honestly am really curious about what that's like for you guys growing up and to where you are with it now.
I mean,
it sucks, man. I mean, it's I mean, I understand that you know, it might be more frequent in other places to fly that flag, but for some odd reason, people, you know, especially in the town that we live in.
Oh yeah.
People will do it more from like a taunting perspective.
Yeah.
And I know that because like a lot of those people have been people that we've all gone to school with.
Yeah.
And just openly talk shit. You know what I'm saying?
So
It's like, you know, when it's done from that perspective, and it's like, you know, oh, I'm using my freedom of speech. Shit, we're gonna use our freedom of speech too, and we're gonna burn it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's honestly how I feel, because you know we're not really fucking with that type of shit. You know?
it's crazy. Like when we did that video shoot, you know, we had the plan, like we had the treatment written and shit. I mean, the guy that filmed it, our friend Joe, he's a sick rapper out here that goes by Joe Snaps.
Is he the one that appeared at the very end of the video that was rapping? Was that him? Yeah.
Look that fool up, dude. Look
He's
him
very
up.
sick.
Yeah.
He's sick.
Interview him, bro.
You should interview him.
He's about to drop projects. He's sick.
He gave
I'll
us
check
the
him out.
location, and we pulled up to the stomp shoot, and there's like a big ass tagging on the building of this empty warehouse that said like "White Lives Matter," and we're like, how fitting is this? Like, that?
Like holy
we're
shit.
trying to convay like our area, and this is here right now.
Yeah.
Dude, as soon as I pulled up and I saw it, I was like, no way, bro. This is like on the wall. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And here. But it also like kind of like to answer your question, that's like, it almost didn't surprise me because of the area.
Oh yeah, because
you know?
you could even see it. It's like historically, the Antelope Valley is like, it was like one of the last bastions of that kind of bullshit in California. Like, you know, it's like, it's crazy. We even have, because if you look on a map, it's like a little triangle. You can see a desert triangle, you know, above like north of LA. And it's a lot of people moved out here, like, you know, I even have I've had family members say crazy ass shit like, oh, you know, it's nothing but white people out here back in the 80s, you know, like people came out here because of that. And it's like they praised it because of that, you know. And even in the 60s, there was like the last bastion of segregation in California was the Antelope Valley, you know, one of them, because like they would basically they would keep anyone, if you weren't white, you weren't they would redline you from living in like Palmdale and Lancaster, you know. So it's crazy. There's a lot of history out here. It's like a little red pocket, you know what I mean? Like I've heard it called like Reagan County, you know, by like people. It's like this little red pocket in California.
LA County is definitely like everyone knows it for being very liberal, but like in our specific area, we're like in a desert town, and it's just it's like very conservative out here.
Super like it's just so you'll see a lot of like Confederate flags and just stupid ass shit.
Someone came to one of our shows and they had like a Confederate flag patch on, and like they got like beat up by like someone in the crowd like right as we were about to play, and like we had to like stop our set from starting for a minute for it to clear out, and then we figured out what happened. We're like, are you fucking serious?
Yeah, like
it's
nuts,
crazy. Like,
man.
You wouldn't think it would be like that out here in 2022, you know?
Like even back as far, you know, even like in the 90s and stuff, there was like skinhead and Nazi gangs and shit out here. Like
you look it up out on YouTube, you can still find like news articles of like like Nazi skinhead gangs out here fighting sharks and shit. It's crazy.
Dude, it's crazy. So there's a lot of like, even when you get into that, like there's a lot of like underground punk, like I guess you could call it punk scene history in the Antelope Valley that all kind of ties in with its like also its racist history and stuff. Like shit, dude, there's a high school out here at Quartz Hill, and they rocked a Confederate flag on their logo.
They were the rebels until like 2021.
Yeah, dude, they had a Confederate flag until the 90s, dude.
Yeah, dude. Hey, dude, check this out, man. There's a high school out here called Quartz Hill High School, and I don't care about talking about because I go there.
Yeah,
but their mascot was the rebel.
It's a fucking rebel, dude.
And when you walked around the campus, there was like murals of like rebels. You know what I'm saying? Like straight up rebel depiction.
Yeah,
dude. You know what I'm saying?
That's where Jabril went to high school too, actually.
So it's like
that's where he went to high school. So I know he was definitely like not really, you know.
Oh yeah.
like what the fuck is going on here? Like at a school, at a public ass school, you know what I'm saying? So they eventually got that shit changed, I think, right?
Literally,
Yeah, that was like last year.
Last year.
Last year.
There's like,
Okay.
Yeah, we heard some crazy shit about like them finally getting backlash for that shit.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy.
I remember because I worked with a guy who was actually from LA, and I mean he kind of gave me some insight because he lives out like in, well, I don't know if he's back in California now, but I don't know exactly where he lives at this moment. But at the time, before he moved out to North Carolina, he's from proper LA. But one of the things he revealed to me, which was that he had said that at least in LA, and I guess he was talking about Southern California too, was that you mentioned you've touched upon it before about the culture back out, during that time as well too, was that there are a lot of conservatives out there, but a lot of it was more like closeted conservatives where you guys, I guess it depends who you talk to, but what he was explaining to me was that, a lot of the old school guys that are still around still carry that same mindset. You may not see it as much. I see as far as like maybe like like you may some conservative people who are out in LA who are not hiding their ideologies, but there are plenty of other people out there who are still very much conservative that are running more or less some of the major businesses out there. And he said it's not uncommon to come across a lot of people who are still racist, but they're just not going to be upfront about it. But they'll find other ways to showcase that, if that makes any sense. So it's not surprising for me to hear, to some extent. But again, the only thing that surprised me though was about the Confederate flag. Because honestly, I didn't expect. I expected the Nazi flags. That part I was familiar with in California. I've heard those stories for years and years and years. Yeah. So that didn't surprise me. But Confederates, I always associated just with the South, which is where I live. Yeah. So I didn't realize it reached out that far to that extent there.
Weird, man. It's not uncommon to see lifted trucks with Confederate flags flying.
Yeah, same here.
Not that crazy uncommon. No, it's not uncommon at all.
Yeah.
They work for Amazon, and I used to with them as well. There'd be times where we'd be out on route, and we'd just see like streets lined up with it.
Oh yeah, dude.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Especially like, Bakersfield, man.
Yeah, like just in like.
Is Bakersfield considered like country town? Is that kind of like the vibe from what I understand? Well,
it's like out there. But like definitely has hella farms and like oil oil fields.
Okay.
Yeah, it's great. It's cool. It's definitely like a big city with they have a university out there, so it's like there's there's like a cool sized population, but on the outskirts it's all like farms and things of that nature. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I hope you guys don't mind me bringing that up there to kind of get into that, because I'm always curious to learn more about that the lifestyle out there. But I mean, for you guys though, growing up, did any of you guys experience any sort of prejudice or racism? Because I imagine that, with where you guys have grown up, there's a lot of diversity where you have people from all walks of life, different skin color that you guys have interacted with and grown up with, played with, I imagine as well too, that I don't know if it was common for you guys to experience that directly for yourself. I mean, to some degree, I felt like you guys have experienced some form of racism or some form of prejudice. But was that common for you guys growing up at all at any point?
Oh yeah, for sure. Me myself, I'm half Filipino and half white, and a lot of people mistake me for Mexican or Spanish, and I'll hear a lot of like racist, like Asian derogatory terms or like derogatory terms about Spanish people, like thrown at me. But I was mostly like you said, like growing up like in public school or playing like Little League or whatever, like just like those people with like racist parents, like projecting the shit they hear at home onto me,
Yeah, definitely being extremely light skinned Mexican. Never received like the amount of prejudice I've seen on like my browner friends and relatives, honestly. And I think that shit's fucked up, because what I have experienced is a lot of like white people in the past being very comfortable with expressing their racism towards me.
I've had that happen to me too.
You know what I mean? So it's like as if I'm like just in on the joke or some shit like that. So what I found through that is that there's a like kind of touch on what you're just saying about the closeted people, being super racist and not being super upfront.
Passive aggressive.
There's almost like a lot of passive aggressive like jokes and shit that I've heard, and I'm just like, dude, how do you guys? And but it's always written off as like, oh no, but I'm just playing, dude. It's like, dude, how do you? how do you
Yeah.
not see this as like not being part of the problem?
That shit's like, it's never like good for your mental, because then at a point you're like, well, it's my fault for letting it slide. It's not your fault, you know. You shouldn't even have to fucking deal with that.
Yeah. Well, for you, Alex, because you know, because I think you and I have some similarity with our backgrounds. Because I'm also Hispanic as well too, and you mentioned before about, you know, your skin complexion, because mine as well is pretty light too. Because the way you talk, you know, you don't talk with the street vernacular, right? With what some people may associate with a lot of Latin people just in general, right? So I'm sure, like you said it yourself, when people have spoken to you, it's like, wow, you don't sound like an Hispanic. You sound, you know, where did you grow up here? You know, they ask those type of questions. So because of that for yourself, did you ever felt, I'm not sure if I'm trying to be very careful how I can ask, because I'm trying to remember from my perspective here, because I'm not sure if it actually reflects on you. But for me, I was confused because I just didn't know any better, where they would look at me like, well, you speak very well English, you speak really good English for an Hispanic. And I was like, well, thanks. When I was like 7, 8, 9, 10, not understanding the concept behind their how they're commentating on me. And then as I got older, then I started realizing, oh, wait a minute, these guys are being dicks about it because they're rude to Jose, but they were nice to me. So I didn't make it. That's when I started understanding the bigger picture. But for yourself, was it kind of like that as well too, growing up, because of, you know, the way you look, the way you sound, and not looking like a typical Hispanic for yourself?
The I think the number one thing that for some reason always came my way from other people that I never got, and I never got a solid explanation when I questioned them on it, is sometimes people would be like, oh, like people like Jose, or people like Maria, people like them, and like the people like, and it's always referring to like, you know, someone that is browner skin,
Right.
someone that is more that, you know, maybe just came from Mexico to work, and, you know, it's always referring to you know, like people like what, like that's like the number one thing that kind of like always got under my skin. You feel me? When I heard it from other people.
Yeah.
That's to kind of like relate to your question, like you know, like because you know, being sometimes around people that, you know, for some reason have some reservation towards, you know, people that are from Mexico directly, you know, it's like I don't I don't get why their feelings towards them would be any feeling like any different from like a feeling towards like my father or my mother, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So in that way, I kind of find it, you know, just a little, you know, a little underlying disrespectful, but it goes with that, like what we were talking about earlier, just like that closeted, you know, prejudice that is like around like certain people, you know, like, you know, I you know, I don't come from that, so I can't really understand that type of mindset. You feel
me? Yeah, I know where you're getting at. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's one thing about, you know, with you guys' music, especially with the song "Stop," where it was very, it's the forefront of what the subject matter deals with here, which is one of the things I really, because here's the thing about your group is that, you know, I'll be honest with you, Cole, is that when I looked at you and I look at your first and last name, you know, it was obvious to me you may have come from a mixed background too, but I've also met a lot of kids who, you know, that are brown skinned and they were adopted and they just happen to have an Anglicized name. So it was not uncommon for me to know, but I just didn't know what your background was until you mentioned to me. But what was interesting for me though is that, you know, you guys are talking in this particular case I saw about with Stomp, that there's a subject matter that's obviously affected you guys in some way, shape, or form that is important for you guys to delve into, and considering you guys' background that you guys have growing up and experiencing in some way or shape or form of a form of racism that you are talking about, that I think is a very important thing to delve into as well too. But there's an eclectic group of guys in your guys group, and you know, here's what I've said before in the past. You know, I love films. Films is my go-to for everything, but I always felt like music was ahead of the curve when it came to, you know, representation, where you have guys like the Bad Brains, who are all from DC, but they're all black. But I remember when I first heard them, I didn't even cross my mind that they were black. They were just great musicians. When you look at someone like when you look at a group like Queen, the lead singer has an Indian background, but never once did it cross my mind that he's Indian. It was just I mean, literally, you have a group full of white guys, and then one guy everyone's focusing on is the POC. Sorry.
Yeah.
everyone focuses on him because he's the one that is bringing the most attention, but not for the reasons you may think. He's because he's really good at what he does. And then you look at groups like Rage Against the Machine, where Zach De La Rocha, even though he is half Mexican, it didn't matter to me, but he touches on a really important subject matter. Same with Tom Morello, who was also of mixed race as well too, but with a group with other members being white as well. But that wasn't the issue. That wasn't the forefront. They talked about more political issues, but their experiences clearly was an influence for them to touch upon those things. And they've done very well with their music, but also bringing up those important subject matters as well. But I always felt like music to me did that better than films, did that better than TV shows. So, I always wonder why it took so long for films and movies to catch up with it. Because now you got like, films that are coming out now where representation does matter. And I remember, when I was a kid, the first film that really changed my perception that was the Robert Rodriguez film El Mariachi, where it was the first time I saw a movie where it has a lead Mexican man in an action film, but he did not look like Stallone. He didn't look like Schwarzenegger. He looked like the guys that I grew up with. And I thought, I want to see more of that, because that was so unique to me that I never saw that. And I saw that in this movie that changed my perception, like that, oh, we can do this ourselves well too. I would like to see more of that. Obviously, the sequel, you brought a good-looking guy like Antonio Banderas, but regardless, he's a brown-skinned man playing the lead, which I appreciated. But El Mariachi for me was that one film that I always thought like, we need to see. I would like to see more of that, because that was something that I connected with the most. I mean, I love Stallone. Don't get me wrong; I love his movies, but that was a film that I felt like it was something that was really important for me to see as a kid growing up, because I never saw that before, and really haven't really seen that since, at least not to that extent. So I hope you guys don't mind me bringing this up here about the subject matter, but I'm just curious now for yourself on how you guys feel about how things have changed as far as, how people view POCs, how people view, the representation aspect of doing justice to represent people of, different backgrounds when it comes to their sexuality, their ethnic background, their religion, or whatever the case may be. For yourselves, do you feel like in that respect, things are getting better, especially now you guys are a group that you guys all have eclectic backgrounds, different walks of life, and forming this music together, which honestly, despite the fact that I know you guys have different ethnic backgrounds, but that wasn't the reason why I listened to your music. I just love the music you guys have played. And when I happened to see the visuals, like, oh, so you have an Hispanic, you have an African American, you have now I know you have a mixed Filipino white background, and you, Jimmy, being Anglo. But do you guys have a perception how things have changed when it comes to that side of representation? I hope you don't mind going too long about this here, but I hope you guys know where I'm coming from.
Yeah, no, I mean, dude, honestly, as far as art spaces go, like, whether it's music, film, wherever, I definitely see POCs getting a lot more recognition these days. And honestly, it's nice, man. I mean, I feel like for years, it's, everyone's been in the scene. Yeah. And the bands that always get the cred, I mean, it sucks to say, are always, white dominated. White male dominated. And I mean, hey, just respect to the legends and all the bands that we love. I definitely don't listen to bands like how you're saying, like for their background. I listen to them for their music,
Right.
So yeah, I definitely feel that. But as far as like what you're bringing up, I definitely see that. Like I definitely see like the support online, and I think it's sick as hell. I'm glad it's finally happening. Like I said, because yeah, man. I mean, even recently, you want to tell them about the ska meme about the fourth wave and how it's all butter. So check this out, right? In the ska community, I'll make this quick. It's like a joke about the fourth wave and when will the fourth wave of ska return. But in Cali, there's been a huge like Latinx dominated like ska scene forever since like the early 2000s.
Right.
Like, and it's dude, like the show size. Like,
insane.
I guarantee you, bro, no like ska show in the U.S. is touching what like LA does at all. Mm-hmm. Because like you can see it in the footage. Unless it's like a big festival, a local show, bro, will draw a gigantic crowd.
Huge.
But in the online ska community, we've kind of just seen that like people will just keep putting like pedestaling the same bands over and over again. Yeah. And so I don't know if you want to just like tell them about that brief like freak out that people he posted a meme. You want to just like
because I'll explain it. So you know, he invited me to the ska page, and like he said, everyone's talking about like, it's like everyone's like, oh yeah, the fourth wave of ska. Like, you know, they would just name a lot of like, you know, just white dude ska bands, and it's like, it's always the stuff that when, you know, growing up playing shows in like LA in the Valley, like fools would be like, oh, like that white boy ska shit, and I'm like, you know, it's like you know, like Real Big Fish, bands like that. So he added me to this group, and everyone always talked about, oh, when's the fourth wave coming? I'm like, yo, it's been here, bro. It's, you know, it's like whatever. So I made a meme of, it was like what was it? It was
the only reason why the LA ska scene isn't seen as
the fourth wave,
as a part of the fourth wave, is because it's not overran by white dudes.
I just made that meme. It was like prove me wrong, like that meme. And dude, literally, I just like posted it and was like, the shit storm will begin, and it was a shit storm. But it's true though. I think it's true, dude. Like, I really feel like the whole LA ska scene has been overlooked as the new wave of ska because of that, you know. And people will argue that shit to the bone, but
you know, like, and then, you know, just applying it more to like your question, you know, like it's definitely like you know, POC led movements will definitely just get underlooked as hell.
Yeah.
You know,
you see like Death was like the first punk band, and they didn't get their flowers till like 40 years later, you know.
Yeah,
it's true.
It's cool. In Shiiva specifically, like me and Jabril do the lyrics, and we always try to like make it like gender and like race inclusive. So like say we write a love song, we don't want to like specify any genders, just so, you know, like a trans person or like something like in like LBGTQ relationship could like vibe to the song and not necessarily feel like weird about listening to it, you know.
Right. Yeah, you know, and here's the thing too. I always, you know, this is why I got a lot of the ignorance on my end came from, where people would say like, you speak well for Hispanic, and because you know, when I grew up watching movies, I watched, you know, a lot of action films, a lot of Hong Kong as a kid. I remember I knew who Jackie Chan was well before he made it even big. Like, I remember watching him in the early 90s. You know, obviously Bruce Lee and things like that. So like, you know, to me, it didn't matter the person's skin color. So it never I never thought of it as, you know, it was important for me to see that up until I saw El Mariachi. That was a film that made me realize I want to see more of myself in that. But you know, again, I don't mean to retread on that, but with you guys, you know, creating the music here, do you guys have a specific topic that you guys are more focused on, or it's really with whatever you guys are feeling at that time when it comes to writing the music? So if Jabrils may feel like, I want to talk about this experience I had today, and that was some guy saying this thing to me, whether it be good, bad, or ugly, but you know, it's a subject matter that's important for me to delve into right now. I'm going to write about it. Or do you guys have an idea about what it is you guys want to work on as far as the subject matter with the next record you guys are going to be writing together here? I hope that makes sense with the question I'm asking here.
Yeah, I feel like it's like a mixed bag, where like a lot of it will come from like how we're feeling, but some of it, like in particular, like one of the songs on the new EP is called Short, and we've been playing it live a bit. And that song came out of a conversation me and Jabril were having, just about like relationships, be it friendships or like significant others, you know, like a lack of like a broken line of communication, and you just feeling like someone's being short with you and not saying exactly what they're feeling, and it's kind of like frustrating on both parties, you know. So it's like I don't know, it's like both kind of. Sometimes we'll plan it, and sometimes it'll just come to fruition out of conversation or what have you.
Because Jabril's definitely talked to me about like his process and what I can gather from it from like an outsider's perspective. I'll definitely say it's definitely, you know, songs about life presented under you know, just really just like locked in hardcore punk, you know. That's really how we try to like approach it, you know. Less of like a quintessential punk topic in the song, more of like just like songs that are just, you know, relatable.
Just have like the heart in it, you know. It's like, I don't know, maybe it's authentic to us.
So I want to kind of jump on to another subject here, because you know, I meant to do this earlier, and I think I kind of went off track here for a bit, but I'm curious for you guys though, in terms of your interests. That's what I was want to bring up before here. Is there something if you guys are okay with sharing this here, is there something about you that, for someone like myself, for example, like if I'm, I'm listening to you guys talk and I'm getting a feel for the type of things you guys are into, but is there something that you guys are into that may more or less surprise some people who are coming to get to know you as far as your music tastes are concerned, film, whatever the case may be, that may be considered a little surprising to them?
So like in terms of, I guess, music that I guess would be surprising.
Anything in general, really, anything. It doesn't have to necessarily be just music.
Anything in general.
I like cooking, dude. I'm like,
Okay.
I think that's something that happened over quarantine, but I've gotten into like growing veggies and cooking this past like couple of years.
Yeah. Like even recently too, I started going out sometimes on just like really solo hikes. It's been a minute since I've been on my last one, maybe like 5 months. But those shits are awesome, man. Just yeah, it's cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about yourself, Jimmy?
Shit, I'm a big ass fucking D&D nerd, dude. Yeah. I guess. Yeah, I mean, he's outside of music. It's just a lot of nerdy shit. So
yeah.
Did you like that new Amazon show that came on? That's based off the D&D property.
Oh, honestly, well, I know it's what is it? It's Matt Mercer's campaign that's like made into a series.
Yeah.
I never really watched it, no, but I'm
Okay.
not familiar with it. But
did it catch your attention to want to check it out?
Well, because I had actually listened to like, because they would like essentially podcast their D&D sessions.
Oh,
so
okay.
I definitely, when I was like learning how to like DM a game, I was listening to their campaign a lot, and I would just kind of listen to people's campaigns a lot just to figure out, how to do it and shit. So,
okay.
But I mean, when it comes to, I mean, I wouldn't be against watching it, but I haven't watched it now.
So it's not a priority for you.
No, I guess I'm still trying to catch up on Clone Wars, dude. So I can.
I'm trying to show the what's the Paramount South Park.
Oh yeah.
Oh, was that any good?
I like
hilarious, bro. You gotta
COVID
watch out.
special.
I'm gonna check it out.
Dude, you gotta check that out, man. It's awesome.
I look into the Hill and Dexter lately.
Oh yeah.
Oh, did you like the last season of Dexter that just came out?
Oh my god, the way it ended, I've had such mixed feelings about it, but I really like the writing. I think it was the guy who wrote the first 2 seasons, right?
That's what I heard. Yeah.
I
try to get into it, but honestly, I don't know why. It's like I don't know. Someone told me, because I had a friend of mine who came by here to visit me recently. He was telling me about the whole series and told me what just happened the last season. He liked the ending, and when he explained it to me, I was like, I don't know. It just didn't really catch my attention. But I mean, for you, that you said you had mixed feelings about, what is it about for you that you didn't like about it or did like about it?
I was hoping that it was going to go on longer, to be honest, but I get why it had to end. There's a reason for sure behind it, but I liked in particular in the new one where how his sister was kind of his conscious and
Yeah. How about that? Yeah.
But yeah,
I got like halfway through Dexter. I think and then I was just like, "Fuck, dude!" It's like Supernatural, dude. I was like, "All right, man, this situation can only happen like once so many times. Dean can only go to hell so many times."
Yeah, I was gonna ask, man, are you a fan of the Boondocks? Because I am, and I was really bummed when they didn't go through with them.
So I only seen the first season, and there's no reason why I never went back to watch any of the following season. But I intended on catching up with it with the announcement they're going to be doing with the new one. They're going to be coming out, and then they decided just to pull out and not go with it. But here's the thing, though, that kind of, I want to say didn't really piss me off, but I was confused with it because obviously John Witherspoon had passed away. And when they were in talks of bringing the show back, obviously Witherspoon was going to be coming back in to play the character again. But once he had passed away, everyone immediately thought of get his son, because if you JD, he sounds exactly like his father when he puts on that voice. Like it's a spitting spitting image, but it's I guess for lack of a better term, spitting image of his voice. But it was on par. And when he had auditioned, which was strange because he revealed this whole thing on Instagram. Once he had revealed what had happened, that he auditioned despite the fact he sounded just like his father, and then they said they found somebody else to play the part instead. I lost interest. Honestly, I didn't really care for it to come back to it because I honestly felt disrespectful, to be completely honest, about how they were handling that there.
It's pretty wild, especially since like when you look at the original series, Which, by the way, if you do get a chance to watch it, get the DVDs because there are some like banned episodes out there. You know?
Okay.
Especially just watching the original series, like when they announced that it was supposed to be like a reincarnation, like a retelling.
Yeah.
So if it wasn't gonna be the original Granddad, and they're trying to do original episodes, I'm not even trying to watch that shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, because also, you know, you got to think, dude, like they missed the entire Trump era. They could have made some really good episodes during Trump.
Yeah, they could have. Yeah, absolutely.
They missed all that, bro. So like, what are they going to talk about now? You know?
That's Biden.
Are they going to catch up the Trump era into the Biden era? And then, you know, I don't know.
Yeah.
I heard that's what King of the Hill's doing.
Oh yeah, okay.
Like they're rebooting King of the Hill, and they're gonna.
Yeah, because it's supposed to be taking place like what I forgot how long ago the original show ended, but it's supposed to be literally taking that amount of time that they last aired the show to where it is right now. So if anything, they're being smart about that too.
Shit, what?
Yeah, see,
I didn't even know that shit, bro.
That's probably the only way that the Boondocks would be able to redeem themselves if they got JD and they did that. They just dropped like a mass drop, you know, which of course is super optimistic.
That's crazy that they did John Witherspoon's son like that. Reminds me of like the Straight Outta Compton movie. That was like pretty much what happened to Eazy-E's son.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was yeah. Did you guys like that movie Straight Outta Compton? Because I was kind of mixed about it, to be honest with you.
I was like whatever about that movie.
Yeah.
Cool. It was cool. I remember exiting the movie theater and immediately wanted to rap.
Well, so let me ask you guys real quick for biopic films. You guys watch a lot of musician biopic films, like, you know, the Bohemian Rhapsody, Rocketman, like any of those type of movies? You guys come across those films? For you guys, what do you guys think is actually the best biopic film when it came to about a band or a musician that you felt was really good?
Oh man,
the Richie Valens one is pretty good.
Oh, La Bamba?
Yeah, that's
I like that one.
That's like conventional one in my mind. I think probably like the mixed one, but I still like to watch it. Is What We Do Is Secret.
yeah.
Which one was this one again?
That's the biopic of the Germs. But there's like nuances of that movie that kind of like make it fail as an accurate biopic because Pat Smear, the actor in the movie, he had like a thick like New York East Coast accent or something. And like Pat Smear, he wasn't from he doesn't talk like that. His voice is never like that. Like Pat Smear, the real person. So if I don't know if we're judging biopics by those stuff.
I mean, yeah, because even like the Bohemian Rhapsody, that was pretty much all told from.
I hated that movie.
Yeah, that same dude. No, same. You know what? I saw that with the singer and guitarist of my other band, Los Mangos, David, and he was like, "Dude, it's tight. You know, it's good." And I watched it. I was like, "Dude, this is so like."
Yeah.
This is not a fucking band. This isn't even how they started, bro. Like, what the fuck?
No.
There's shit that was like I was like, all right, come on. They just move shit around to like tell a good story. But
well, they made a family movie out of the story of Queen. I was like, because I'm not sure if you recall that Sacha Baron Cohen was going to play Mercury.
Sacha Baron Cohen was going to do it.
So, but he wanted to do an R-rated version of that of the story because he's like, I've heard these stories and I've seen a shit ton of like documentaries about what Freddie Mercury was like. And, one of the things it says, they had little people with the dishes on, they had all these drugs on there. And that's where they were walking around in the party and people would be snorting cocaine, doing ecstasy, whatever else.
Oh, yeah, crazy shit.
Right. And, him going to gay bathhouses and, just coming across all these different lovers and the nicknames he had for his friends. And they were all giving him girl names. I was like, this is the shit that I wanted to see. And not because, I wanted to be raunchy for the sake of raunchy, but it was more interesting because
real story.
Right. But it was more interesting because I wanted to see like how Mercury was such a wild guy, but he's such an introvert. And then when he's on stage, he's very, flamboyant and, as far as the stage presence is concerned. And yet he's such a creative genius when it comes to the writing of the music and composing all that stuff. But he's doing all this wild shit that most people had heard about the rumblings. And then when he passed away, it all just came out. I wanted to see that version of the story where you get to see like all the eclecticness of his life and how he was able to be on par when it came to writing music. Yeah, but instead we got like a safe PG-13 bullshit that I hated so much.
Yeah, because people are like, it's like people want to tell, because it's such like it's Queen, like kids listen to that shit, but it's like, that's just the reality of that life. And like, it's the reality of how they even became those kind of eclectic people to write that music.
Yeah.
All of that raunchy shit played a part in who they were.
I agree.
That's who they were, And a lot of times it's like, it's the crazy side of life that creates that insanely artistic, like, just genius doesn't come, it comes with a price, you know what I mean? Like, and I want to see, like you said, I want to see like the true story. I want to see exact, you know what I mean? So yeah,
As close to it as possible.
Yeah, I was definitely excited for that Sacha Baron Cohen movie, and I was bummed when it didn't happen. It was, and I also understand that Freddie Mercury was a very private person, but it's like, man.
Well, he said though that if I recall correctly, because I read a ton of stuff about what he had said about because the band obviously they own the rights to the music, so they couldn't make the film without the music, which is why I think the film turned out the way that it did, because they want to keep it respectful, which I get, but come on, dude, let's see some of the raunchy shit. But the point I'm getting at is that the one thing that Freddie Mercury had said is that if you're gonna do a story about my life, the only thing I ask is do not make it boring. I fucking guarantee if he was alive right now and saw that movie, he'd be like, fucking blow this shit up.
He would have went and beat the shit out of Brian May, dude.
I'm sure, and he deservedly so. No disrespect to Brian May, but it's just that they went too safe with that story, and I was like, this is fucking. My wife loved it. She was like, this is a great movie. I was like, fuck that movie. The movie sucked. It was a good movie that took me a while to get into was Rocket Man. I thought that was a great movie.
I never saw it.
Here's the thing about that movie is that it's a musical, which is what I loved about it, because Elton was smart. He's like, you can't really tell my life to a T. So let's make it a fantastical musical, but it has all the traits of my life in that film. So you're seeing all the bullshit that he had done, all the drug addictions that he had gone through, and firing people and abusing relationship and things of that nature. And they kept very true to that. I didn't hate it at first, but I was mixed about it. When I saw it again the second, third, fourth time around, I was like, oh, this is actually a lot better than I remember. So if anything, I thought that was done very well. Another movie that I thought was done well, only because they were accurate to what was read from what I remember reading in the book, was The Dirt by Motley Crue. If here's what I wanted, the same aesthetics that Bohemian Rhapsody had, but with the same type of raunchiness that The Dirt had. If they mixed those two together for Bohemian Rhapsody, that would have been the fucking perfect movie as far as music by opposite is concerned. But I'm kind of going off on a tangent here, but I think you understand where I'm coming from with that. But you were gonna say something?
Yeah, I was gonna ask you. I mean, this isn't really a biopic, but it's kind of like a comedy. It's Tenacious D. Did you like that one? I love that shit, man.
Which one?
Tenacious D.
Oh, I love that movie. That's an underrated film.
Oh yeah,
I love it. I was gonna see Studio 666 with the Foo Fighters. I haven't gotten around to seeing that yet, but I wanted to see that movie because I love horror movies as well too.
Dude, what were we listening to? We were listening to like a radio station the other day.
NPR, dude.
Oh yeah, we're listening to NPR and they trashed that movie.
What did they say about the film?
Well, they didn't trash it. The host had two people on, two film critics, and one of them completely trashed it. I don't remember what the film critic's name was.
Movie?
He was just saying it was just really campy and shit. I'm like, that's the fucking point, dude.
Yeah, that's the point. Yeah.
It's not Steven Spielberg or anything.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, if you want to waste your money on a student project or some shit like that. That's what he said. I was like, damn.
You know what? I used to be one of those, because I used to think like that. If you want to waste your money, I used to talk like that, but I've talked to enough people in the industry now that my perception has changed about how to talk about a film. Because I've never made a movie, but I know a lot of people who have made films. And it is the furthest thing from being easy, because there's a lot of work that comes with that. A lot like with making music too, because even now as I listen to music, I'm like, oh, this movie, I remember years ago, I think, what song was it? It was an Oingo Boingo song. I forgot what the name of that song was. I thought the song was fucking awful. I forgot the name of the song. It was a video too. I forgot it was some baby or something in the video. But as a kid, I thought the song was so stupid. As I got older and understand what the process of making music and just creating in general, I'm not hard on it like I used to be anymore. So for anyone, in my opinion, that comes out and talks like that, very dismissive of it, fuck those guys, because I think that's a huge sign of disrespect for the people that put in the work and are dismissing in that manner there. But that's just me, again, going off on a tangent, because I have a big problem with people doing that sort of stuff.
Dude,
I know that completely, dude.
Even in music, I try to, even if I don't necessarily like listen to the genre or something, I usually try to find something I like about everything.
Yeah, same here. Yeah.
Like sometimes things aren't for me, but I'm not gonna outright disrespect it.
At the end of the day, respect the hustle.
Yeah. But But for you guys though, is there like a song, group, or even a film that in most people's eyes would be considered being like really awful, but for, for you, you don't care, you love it, um, for whatever the reasons may be, that you would probably consider in such high regard, despite what the general consensus is. Is there anything like that for you guys that,
Hey,
that comes to mind?
Return of the Jedi was a good movie, man. That one I went to the trash. It was a good one, dude.
The only one I could think of, because it's like recently, is that new Scream. A lot of people trash on, but I like it.
Yeah.
I have not seen it. I was waiting to see it, and I'm gonna just buy it on Blu-ray when it eventually comes out there.
I'm not really sure actually. I don't really think I have a clear answer for that one. I'm not sure what
Really?
movie
Okay.
I mean, a lot of people trash on South Park, and you ride or die for that. So.
Yeah, trash. Well, yeah. I mean, but like as far as like a movie, I'm trying to think like a really good answer for that. I'm not really sure. Man.
Like a notoriously
bad movie that I like. I'm not sure. Well, is Dude, Where's My Car a bad movie? Because I like that one.
I thought it was a great movie.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Never mind then.
that is a great movie.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's a cheesy movie, but I like it. I remember digging in. I still have it on VHS here.
Yeah, Super Troopers is funny as hell too.
Did you like the second one?
Oh yeah, the second one.
See that? Oh, I know one movie. I know a perfect answer. So, SLC Punk 2.
I've never seen that.
Yeah, I liked it, but it's trashed on big time. Like everyone,
I didn't even watch it.
I was not a fan of it. Not gonna lie.
everyone said that shit was bad. And in all honesty, at first I did think it was bad. Like my first watch, I was like, this is horrible. Especially like the type of writing that they had in it. But then I was like, you know what? Let me watch it a couple times, and it actually kind of grew on me. I thought it was sick.
The Facebook page of them were like people were commenting on like the posts on Facebook, like this is trash, and like the actual like official SLC Punk.
I bought it, man.
They were like trash. They were like, oh, this movie's great.
I bought it.
that was insane.
I bought it. Hey, man, it took me a couple watches, but you know what? I was just like how you're saying, like respecting, like willing to respect it. You know what I'm saying? Because
what made you want to go back and watch if you didn't like it the first time for yourself?
Well, I thought about it. I said, you know what? They don't have the original cast. They don't have the guy from Scoop. You know?
Oh, Matthew Lillard.
Yeah, so they can't go all out. But they had almost nearly everybody. You know, and they also tried to make it like current day. You know, so I think I was just looking for more nostalgia. You know, and like the first one, of course, I had all that nostalgia.
Mm-hmm.
And so in my mind, I was like, this is exactly the way I would hate someone to listen to music as, you know?
Yeah.
So I was like, let me give this another watch. And I spent, you know, like I bought it. I didn't watch it on YouTube. I actually purchased a copy. Yeah.
What, on Blu-ray or DVD?
Digital download on iTunes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you guys like physical media collector, or you guys purchase physical media for anything with regards to like music, films, or anything of that sort?
I used to love buying VHSs, man.
Vinyl, okay.
Vinyl, and I have CDs. Sometimes I'll put it in the car, like if my phone has dead reception or whatever. Yeah.
I really like cassettes.
Yeah,
especially if you find like because like I used to have it was like what pressed in like fucking like the late 90s or something, but I had In Utero on tape. It was like from the 90s, and that shit sounded so sick. And like I love all the wobbly tones, and all like you could hear the fucking tape reeling in the back and all that shit. My dog chewed the fuck out of it though. My old dog. Yeah, but like I really like that old media. Like I really like, okay, if it was put out on record, then I want to hear it on vinyl. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Put out on tape, I want to hear it on tape. Because there's like little nuances from like personally from like recording on my own. I for sure know there's little nuances, especially in that media. Right. Especially in tape and stuff that you miss when people start remastering shit. So it's like, fuck, demaster that shit, bro. I'm trying to hear the fucking stem. Yeah. I really like doing that.
Okay. Well, when you guys are when do you guys have like a point of a preference, I mean, to say when it comes to like in this case, let's use movie example, because I mean that's like I said before, movies is my thing. But do you like the new approach with films being available immediately through streaming platforms? You can watch it on your phone, television, on your laptop. Or do you guys still kind of have a little bit of that sentiment of like, I like the old school way where we have a DVD or VHS, Blu-ray now, where we can watch it, having that tangible object to be able to anticipate that film or TV show that I want to watch. Do you guys have a preference when it comes to that, or you just are indifferent when it comes to watching films or television?
If I'm a fan, I'll definitely go out and get it.
Okay.
Yeah, if I'm a fan, I'll definitely go out and buy it for sure. Because I mean, shit, I have a couple seasons of Family Guy on DVD, and like there's, like I'm not gonna find the extra content and like the original episodes like that. I'm not gonna find it online and shit.
Yeah, true.
Because they're gonna touch it up when they put it on like the digital platform, especially when it comes to like older stuff. It's always better to like try and find like the actual thing. But in the name of convenience, I understand what you're saying. Somebody might prefer a digital download.
I think it's cool that I think it's cool things are more accessible. Like how COVID kind of put like big films will just go straight to your TV, and it's not like
I was kind of mixed about that.
Like that shit was like terrible, but
yeah.
I mean I appreciate that shit. I appreciate that that like they have that, because there's people that for one reason or another can't or won't leave their house. So, but personally, it's like, man, nothing beats like a theater experience too. Like if it's a good movie, I'm like I gotta see that shit in theaters. Because there's things like let's say like what I said with like recording on tape or whatever. Like there's certain nuances you're gonna miss watching on your phone. Because they made this to be on a big screen. So like I wouldn't go see the new Jurassic Park. I'm gonna go see that in theaters. I'm not gonna watch it on TV. It's gotta have the experience.
I was so happy they did that with the new Jackass. It was like only in theaters at first. That was pretty sick.
Did you guys see that movie?
Yeah,
I didn't know.
Oh, okay. Did you like it though? I haven't seen that film yet myself.
Yeah, I liked it. It was pretty funny, man. It was interesting. Like they're incorporating like new characters into it, like passing the torch or something.
Did you guys see the new Batman film that came out recently?
I'm planning on seeing it. Like it came out on my fucking like basically on my brother's birthday, and I've been meaning to take him out to see it. Like I'm sure this week I'm going to.
Okay. So I'm bringing it up because I was watching the movie. It's like it's near 3 hours. I feel like that to me is, as far as the essence of the character, that movie does it to a T. Because I've read some of the comic books growing up, and I still read some of them to this day. It is done fucking beautifully. That whole like noir aspect of the character you get from the comic books, that is in that movie through and through, and it is done fucking fantastic. So if you're into that, you get that.
Actor, man.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, absolutely.
Like outside of Twilight and shit, even he says like, I wish that people would look past Twilight. So I'm like, you know what? I know I'm only one person, but I'll do that for you, dude. Like, his films are good, man.
Yeah.
I don't need to, I guess. My girlfriend's like a huge Twilight fan.
Yeah. I haven't seen Batman, but I definitely want to watch it as well.
Yeah, I can see that.
I think you guys should, or you would watch it. If you guys were to watch it in theaters. It really is worth the price of admission there. It's so beautiful. Like honestly, I was like almost in tears because I was like, this is what I've always wanted to see. With that, I thought Ben Affleck was great. I don't give up what people say. I thought he was great as Batman. But this movie was like the epitome of like, that's the way the Batman that I remember from the comic book. So if you're into that, you'll get that from this movie. I hope you guys enjoy. If you guys get around to it, though, I just want to say off in closing here, with you guys, I thoroughly did enjoy my conversation with you guys. As I mentioned before, when I came across through the post that I have came across with Wiretap Records, I'm always looking for new artists out there, and artists that have not only just to have something important to say, but really something that is unique about them, and as far as like how they approach the music and how they're approaching their performances and the look and whatever the case may be. Because it's one thing to be good musicians, but if you don't have a good performance, you're not going to get much out of it. But for as far as audience are concerned. So for me, I always felt like you guys have something really good going here, especially what I said earlier when I heard Nights. When I heard that acoustic version, I remember distinctly thinking like, these guys are onto something, that it's just a matter of time before they find that groove that they're going to be able to do something that's going to be very unique, and hopefully in time people will catch on and listen to, and hopefully that'll help elevate your careers as well too. So and I'm also very appreciative you guys had agreed to do this here, because honestly, you never know how these things are going to turn out, but I was pretty confident it's going to be we're gonna have a good time with the conversation. I hope you guys did enjoy with what we've been discussing here. So with that being said, I know you guys kind of hinted on about what you guys are going to be expected to release down the line here, but is there anything you guys want to announce now? Because by the time this episode gets uploaded, it will be the following week. Is there anything you guys want to announce now? Anticipation for anything you guys, anyone could be expecting down the line for you? What you guys have coming up soon?
Just follow us. Shiiva GROOV. There's some announcements we can't necessarily throw out there yet. Just because if we did, we'd totally be doing it. And I was like, oh yeah, it's not even like for sure. We just did that because we were, and we definitely don't want to come off like unprepared, So yeah, we definitely want to be prepared before we announce something for sure.
We can definitely say there will be music coming soon.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, that
single of some sorts.
Soon. Yeah, that for sure is happening for sure. Just know there's a lot of music.
Oh yeah. And we've definitely been writing too. We've been writing a lot.
Whole lot of cool stuff that I think people are gonna love. And honestly, thank you, man, for the time.
Yeah, 100%, man. This was like a sick conversation.
Yeah, dude.
Like very free flowing and natural.
Yeah, I was watching your show before just to prepare for today. I was like, oh yeah, dude, this guy, he's definitely professional. He's sick as hell.
Does a podcast as well.
Yeah,
used to
studying again.
You used to do a podcast, you said?
Used to, yeah. I mean,
okay.
I've done it a couple months. It's like super recent that I stopped, but it's only because we got really busy with the band, like Shiiva performing all the time.
Well, what's the name of the podcast? If you're going to go back into it, and go ahead and announce it. I'm sure we can get people to listen. I'll be listening to it if
if you like ska music, it's called the Ska Cast.
Awesome.
And,
okay.
Yeah.
It's available on like Spotify and iTunes and all that. Okay, cool. I'll check it out, man.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. Well, listen.
Very low quality audio. It's like very quality audio, but like
okay.
Best, yeah.
Well, here's the thing though, that I think people, I hope because I'm gonna listen to the podcast, and I really hope people do take the time to listen to what you say on the show, because if something may not be turning out as good, and I'm talking about just in general, I hope people take the time to understand, like, the effort that the people are putting into it here. So considering my conversation with you, all you guys here, you guys definitely have a lot of personality, and I think that will, people will see that. And so I don't expect anything less when I'm listening to your show, So I honestly anticipate a good time listening to what I've just discussed with you and everyone else here. So, if once you get back into it, I'm excited to see what you guys are gonna be doing here. But I just want to say in closing again that this was something that I was looking forward to. And my anticipation for the conversation that I had with you guys was very, I had a lot of high expectations, not in the sense like, you guys have to meet these demands. It's not what I mean by that, but I had a lot of expectation because I felt like there's a lot you guys you had to say. Just by listening to your music, I got the vibe off of that for you guys. So this was everything that I wanted and then some. And I hope to do this again with you guys down the line in anticipation with a new EP and a new record you guys have coming out very, very soon. I would love to have you guys back on the show, and we can just pick up from where we last left off here. So, if anything, I want to give you guys.
You gotta talk to Jabril, dude. You gotta talk to Jabril.
I would love to have him on the show as well. So, yeah, absolutely. We can try to get that worked out here. But otherwise, and for the cameras, I'm just going to say goodbye to you guys, and then we'll go from there.